What's going on, guys? So we have the new 2023 GMC Sierra Denali 1500 four-wheel drive with the Duramax 3-liter straight 6 diesel. So, very cool truck, and this accessory is one that's kind of been a long time coming. So let's talk about what's going in the truck next. Hang tight, I'll be right back. So today is floor mat day. Now I know a lot of folks probably anticipated that. If you watched the actual overview of the window sticker for this truck, you'll realize that we did not get it with all-weather floor mats. Instead, we opted to get the carpet floor mats because I wanted to put my own floor mats in. Sometimes the factory floor mats they don't fit the way you might want them to. You'd think they would, and they do contour, of course, to the shape, but oftentimes they don't have the capability of catching and supporting as much liquid if something were to be spilled. So in front of you, you were looking at the floor mats that I opted to go with. You all can probably figure out what brand they are. These are good old WeatherTechs. What I like about the WeatherTech product is that they do a really good job, and they put a lot of engineering into the design of their floor mats so they capture as much liquid as possible. And you can see how they have the basin right here, as well as a larger basin right here to capture just a lot, and it molds up the side really, really well. Now, something I did that I usually don't do, but I wanted to really give you guys kind of a side-by-side comparison to some of the more generic, lower-cost items that may be available, is that I went out and I actually purchased a set of budget floor mats from Amazon. So I'm going to give you a side-by-side comparison to see specifically if I feel that the WeatherTech is worth the extra money you're going to pay versus the budget brand. Okay, so before I do a side-by-side comparison and show you what these mats are all about, again, generic mats off of Amazon, pretty dang affordable. They were under $100 for all of them. We've had them in the truck now for about 2 weeks, and there's one thing that will make me never, ever, ever consider getting these mats again, and that is the fact that the rubber actually smells like cat urine. Not even kidding you. The stench from these mats totally is not worth the low price that you pay for them. And it has not gone away. We have washed these. We have used chemicals to try to get it off, as far as like cleaning chemicals. I've used degreaser, and I just can't get the smell out of them. And it's so bad that my wife actually won't ride in the truck because of the smell that these mats put out. It's really, really crazy. Okay, so to the right, we have the WeatherTech, and to the left, we have the budget brand. Bought them off Amazon. They had a little name template here, and I removed them. They just had a couple little Phillips head screws on the back. Now, the first thing that I noticed about them, which was kind of concerning to me, is that where they were tightened, I guess by hand, to put the little template on, rust was already forming, which means if you have a lighter color interior, or even a dark color interior, the actual hardware that would hold the name badge on could possibly rust and damage the floor of your vehicle. So, you know, when you get something that's specifically designed to protect the floor of your vehicle, it's kind of a shame if it potentially could damage it. Okay, so I quickly swapped it around, so we're looking at the driver's floor mats for both brands. And I'm not going to mention the brand of these only because there are a lot of different companies that put their name on the exact same floor mat. You can see a little part number right here that they use to probably identify the product. That said, though, when you compare the two side by side, and I've been using these for a few days, you can instantly see the difference in design and engineering. First of all, you can see how this essentially consists of two holding basins. One right here that's actually pretty deep. This is probably about a 1/4 inch deep right here, but then you have this much larger basin which is blocked off by this barrier. So if you really spill something, it's not going to overflow this into the side. Now, I know a lot of folks think about spills, but if you live up north where you get a lot of snow on your shoes and it melts, it could easily overflow a basin like this. And if it does, it can overflow into these areas right here, which are actually the secure spots to keep this tied down to your vehicle, essentially, or snapped into your vehicle. Plus, the little template right here has 2 screws that go through it, and these holes right here would be exposed, and you'd still be able to get liquid underneath it, which would cause them to rust more so than they already had when I got the mats. Now, when you compare the rest of the mat, you can see that even though this sidewall right here, this wall is roughly the same size, you can see how this one contours much, much higher up and over. It also contours more over here, and it's much taller right here than this one is right here. So overall, this is going to give you far more protection, and it's going to surround and really, really follow the inside contours and curves of your vehicle. And you can kind of see the difference right here. Now, when they're in the truck, they both look pretty good, to be honest with you. One thing I noticed pretty quickly about these, though, is that they slide around a little bit even when they're secured down. And I realized why that is. So when you flip it over, check out the bottom. What do you see? Pretty much flat except for the indentions of where the tread is. Look at the bottom of the WeatherTech. So you can easily see the difference here. WeatherTech has much better snaps to hold it into place. It also has kind of a peg material right here to keep it from sliding around the interior of the vehicle. All of them have it. Even the back seat has the pegs. And if I walk over to the generic one, you'll see that there's none. Now, from a material thickness perspective, these are a lot lighter. You can definitely tell they don't have as much thickness to them or as much material to them. They feel like more of a, well, like a cheaper rubber overall, but you can see the thickness. It's very, very thin. Even though it's got a lip right here, if you can find an area where you just see the overall thickness, it's actually a very thin material. I don't necessarily know how quickly they would wear out, but when you compare them to WeatherTech's, you can see the material is much thicker all the way around. The mats just feel heavier, but they also have a grippier texture to them. They feel like, it's hard to say, they feel more like a real rubber material, whereas the other ones kind of have a plasticky feel to the top of them. But yeah, these things are pretty cool. Anyways, we're gonna load these into the truck, get them in place, and see how they look. We're gonna go ahead and put this one in. Really, not a lot to it. You just kind of lift it up, slide it under like this. I love the way WeatherTech mats fit. You can see this nice little barrier right here in case you spill something or snow melts. It's not going to just get onto this area. There we go. Just check that out. That's like OEM quality. It fits so well. And it protects such a large area. Let's get the rest of them in. Okay, I have the passenger side already in place, and again, just see how it conforms to all the edges. I can probably slide this one up just a little bit more. There we go. And because of the gripping material on the bottom with the pegs, it really, really does a good job of holding it in place and keeping it in there. But just take a look at that. Looks really, really nice in the truck. And believe it or not, it actually matches the black texture of the vehicle a lot better than the other ones. The other ones kind of had kind of a semi-gloss-ish look to them, to where they really stood out in contrast to the surrounding plastics. But this actually looks really good. Let's get the back seat one in place. Okay, here we go. Back seat is in place. Check that out. And again, it has a much, much thicker feel to it overall. It doesn't feel nearly as flimsy. You know, when you look at floor mats and you look at high-end floor mats compared to really cheap floor mats, you got to also figure out a couple other things. First of all, where is the floor mat made, right? These are made in America. WeatherTech has always been proud of the fact that they build their products here in the US. It's been built to a different quality level than you see with a lot of the cheaper brands. It's a lot thicker. It fits the truck a lot better. There's some safety mechanisms built into them, such as the little nipple sticking off the bottom to hold it into the floor a little better. They think of things such as water retention, spills, where it's going to channel to, how much you could actually, spill into one of their mats and still be able to retain it and hold it. And quite frankly, at the end of the day, they just last longer. So if you're looking for a product that's built with a lot of pride, built here in the US, a lot of engineering goes into the overall design. It's not just something that's meant to throw out there to compete at a really low price, but you're willing to pay a little bit more for a quality product. This is a perfect example. For all you folks out there who are into RVs and you comment on the lack of quality with RVs, or you comment on the lack of quality of certain types of accessories, well, WeatherTech is definitely one of those products where you can pay a little bit more and you're going to get a really, really good product with a lot of pride that was put into it. So that's one of the reasons why I'm such a big fan of WeatherTech, and it was really, really exciting for me to remove the generic floor mats that I had purchased purely to put in here until these came in, and then do a side-by-side comparison to let you see some of the differences and some of the things that the folks at WeatherTech think of that these, generic brands don't. And then finally, the other thing that's really nice about WeatherTech is the fact that they come with a limited lifetime warranty against any type of manufacturing defects or any issues that arise from the floor mat because of how it was designed. Then again, a lot of perks behind why you may want to consider a set of WeatherTechs. And you know, I did a video a while back actually doing a side-by-side comparison between the WeatherTechs compared to Husky compared to Aries to show you what I thought about all of them. And you may want to check that video out. But one thing I can tell you is these new WeatherTechs actually are a lot nicer looking and feeling than the ones that I tested just a few years ago. So you may want to check these out if you're considering floor mats. Anyways, guys, want to give a big shout out to my channel sponsor, etrailer.com, who provided these to me for review and evaluation on the channel. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.